everyone. So I've made it here to Poland, and I thought for our first video, it took forever, I'm sorry, to get set up and adjusted and everything, but I thought for the first video, I would do like a maintenance video. So when I arrived, I had a few toppers that I had brought with me, like 11, but most of them I had shipped to me, and it had some interesting experiences. One of the things that happened is I sold my 3D printer. I didn't want to ship it because of the expense of the weight, and I was worried about it setting up, but I 3D printed a bunch of bases, but then some of them got like warped while moving, and I guess I could have packed them better. So I'm gonna do some test runs with that later and see if I can get those like bent back into shape. So like this one was actually one that I brought with me, but I dropped it and I lost a little bit of the jewels here, so I have to do some things with that. So I have my rhinestones. This is also one I dropped and lost that rhinestone. Maintenance can be very important. Now, both of these are bent the correct way. One of the other things that can really happen is they get bent. See how this is perfectly flat? And this might bend back a little bit, but it really will be a lot easier if I bend it and it has a shape. So one of the things I do with that is I use my heat gun. So my heat gun will help me bend those back into shape. So maintenance is just gonna be things like fixing a rhinestone, bending it back into shape, testing to see this one lost a magnet. Winter's gonna be coming soon in Poland, and I wanna make sure that I have my winter one set up. I need my fall and winter. So those are the kind of maintenance things that we'll be looking to do. The convenient thing about using the same magnet is usually you already have like the placement done. So I can tell this one went like this. We can see if we can try and get it back in there. Before we glue it, I'll do a test run to make sure that magnetically it's in the correct spot on my glasses. And then I'll probably try to cover it nicely with the UV gel. I try to do a thin coat. That's my new thing that I've been doing, is I've been doing not just at the bottom, but like a slight covering of it to help prevent the loss of them. It's just almost impossible to get them to stay completely. I think the only ones I've been able to do that with are when I do the molds, and I just don't like the molds as much. I guess I don't feel like I have as much control over it. So some of them didn't travel well, and I'll probably just end up tossing them because I didn't wear them that much anyway. So this one was the first one that I did my own like 3D design, and the little wing thing came off and this bottom broke, so I'm not sure if I'll want to try and salvage this or not. It might be that I just take the magnets out and I do like a reprint. I can always make another pink sparkly one. I did like the gold foil on that butterfly though, so maybe I'll think about it. It just might not be worth, it might be worth like more like redoing it instead of that. This one was one I actually purchased from someone. I don't know, I guess they must have a cry cut or something. So some of these I haven't even been through them, are like they shouldn't need as much maintenance. This is one of the reasons why people are like, oh, do you sell them? I'm like, I feel like these guys knew what they were doing. Everything's super clean. I think they have like a laser cutter or cry cut or something, and they do the air. Like, I never feel like mine are high enough quality to sell. I always feel like the edges are rough and they get a little bent, and you know, all these other things tend to seem to happen to them. And so I never feel like they have the same quality that these other ones have. Plus they have, you know, the different shapes and this kind of thing. So that's one of the reasons I never sell it, is I feel like as soon as I start selling it, people will want like perfection. And I just don't feel like any of my things are perfection. I'm happy with them. I'm happy to teach other people them. But I feel like as soon as I sell them, they need to be absolutely perfect, and I just don't have that. I don't have that ability. So these are all fine. They stay in shape. The magnets have never come out for me. Some of those are the real pair I wear. And those were the first and only ones that I bought because I didn't know if I would be able to actually make these things the way I was thinking I would make them. Which obviously that worked out because this is an awesome hobby to have, and several of the people at my new school are also like, we also want this in our lives. And I'm like, we can make that happen. We can have a toppers making club, and we can absolutely make that happen. I actually thought it would be hilarious. One of my friends bought this jacket and she didn't like her buttons, and I'm like, we could cover those buttons with a nail and make like cheetah print buttons, which would be amazing. So I've actually been thinking about that as well, that there are other things we can do even with topper supplies. So basically come sit with me as I do some maintenance on this. Watching me, and I've just been doing exactly what I said. I did some maintenance, placed some rhinestones, just in general was doing a little bit of that sort of thing. And you've been watching me heat, so I use my heat gun, and I can do a simple bend with this like old knitting needle, but I found, especially for getting it to fit really tightly when there's this big gaps, is to sit it on the actual glasses, and they need to kind of cool a little bit on there. So when you're doing it, so I don't do this for all of them, but I do them for my favorites. So see, this gap is really large, and I love these toppers, so I'm definitely gonna wear them a lot. So if there's a gap on some winter ones and I wear them like 5 times a year, I'm not such an excited about it. But these, I wear these at least, you know, twice a month. I love pink, I love sparkle, I love rhinestone. So these need to fit really nicely. Then it's all nice and soft, and I kind of just bend it into place. Another thing that I've actually done with this is I've just set it on my dash in the summer in the South for an hour. Like I've gone, my mom goes to the Y, the pool, and we would just leave it in the car, go swimming, shower, come back out, and they have just nicely sat and formed on the glasses. Now, I'm not saying I left it in there all day, but that's another thing you can do. So I just like rotate through those. I don't have a good place like for that in Poland, so I use my heat gun and all of this. But in general, see how much lower? There's still a little bit of a gap, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's much lower than it was. And those look fabulous. But this is what I was talking about with selling. Like here, this area, it's like it's a little lumpy. It seems, I see all the flaws in it, and I just wouldn't feel right selling it for money. But I absolutely love it for myself, because then it's not a problem. So yeah, that's why. And as soon as you start selling this kind of stuff for money, then suddenly it's not a hobby, and you've got to do all this other stuff. And I have a job. I do this for fun, to relax. So anyway, I have a big stack of toppers to go through for maintenance, but it's all going to look like the same thing. Putting in magnets that have gotten loose, taking my favorite ones, forming it, and fixing rhinestones. And that's what topper maintenance looks like to me.